This is Dmitriy Salita, and we're weighing in.
Yes, weighing in with Mr. Salita Promotions himself, Dmitriy Salita. Dmitry, first and foremost, I want to thank you for reaching out and giving me this opportunity to speak to you. It means a huge amount to me and my channel. So thank you. And with that said, how are you?
Great, always good to be on. And I hear your British accent. Always great to be on with the British media because there's no love for boxing like there is in the UK. And been to the UK many times last year and this year with Jermaine in the big fight with anthonyjoshua. So love the UK boxing fans and the press. And so when I do an interview with a UK reporter, I get a little taste of it. So it's good.
No, we'd love to hear from you as well. Dmitry, as you said, the last time we spoke was earlier this year in April, at the Joshua Franklin presser. Now, before we talk about that, I remember us talking about how you wanted to bring big time boxing back to Detroit. Now, after Claressa's fight, which we'll talk about later, this Saturday we have exactly that. It comes from the Masonic Temple. And it's live on DAZN worldwide. How happy are you and excited are you for this show to be back in Detroit?
Very happy. So, we've been working on bringing big time boxing back to the city of Detroit for about 8 years, and we had consistent events.
Wow.
And it's so great to see that June 3rd, we had Claressa open up big time boxing in the city of Detroit at Little Caesars Arena, which is a beautiful, big time, huge, brand new building. And never had professional boxing before. For Claressa to open up such a city like Detroit, which is home of the Kronk Boxing Gym, Tommy Hearns, Emmanuel Stewart, Hilmer Kenty, Michael Moore, and the list goes on of all the greats. Floyd Mayweather down the road. So many great fighters from the state of Michigan, from the city of Detroit. And for Claressa to open up the new building, the new, so to say, Joe Louis Arena in the city of Detroit is so meaningful. And really opened up the city to big time boxing. And now, just a month later, Eddiehearn and Matchroom is here at the Masonic Temple, down the block from Little Caesars Arena. We have Jermaine Franklin on the card, Joshua Pagan, one of the prospects from the state of Michigan. So, I think boxing has to be inclusive. I know boxing has to be inclusive for the fighters, for the fans, for the networks, for the best product to be out there. Boxing promoters have to work together, and for fighters to be able to get the best opportunities, to be able to fight across the street, to be able to fight on different with different promoters, and for the boxing fans to get the best experience, to get the best fights, and to get the best product, and for the sport to grow, we need to work together. And Matchroom and I have a long time working relationship. Their first two events when they first came to New York City before the Zone, it was on HBO. So kept that relationship going. Obviously did a fight with Jermaine and Joshua, and have a couple of spots on the show July 15th here in Detroit. And we did probably like 20 events at the Masonic Temple. So it's great to be able to come back to that venue on the Zone. It's going to be a beautiful night of boxing, and I'm very excited about it.
Absolutely, and it's a massive credit to yourself as well. Like you said, you had the Jermaine Franklin Joshua fight. You also had Jermaine Franklin Dillian White. But also, you had Claressa Shields come over here and fight on Boxer on Sky Sports. So hats off to you for making that happen and crossing over with the promotions. You mentioned Joshua Pagan. He's a new addition to this card. He put on a great performance on the Claressa Shields show, and he's back out nice and quick. What do you want to see from him this Saturday?
I just want to keep him. I want to see his boxing style progress, staying busy, getting better. He was in training camp with Trayvon Chambers, who's a trainer from Detroit, new trainer Jake Paul. So he's been in Puerto Rico for about 3 weeks, getting good work, getting boxing, being in training camp. I really believe that he's a very talented future champion. And for fighters that are so young, it's very important to stay busy and to stay active. I signed him a little more than a year ago. This is going to be his 8th fight. So I'm very grateful for the fact that I'm able to deliver these opportunities without having an exclusive TV deal. I don't have a deal with any broadcaster, but I work with everybody. So for a guy that signed with me to be 8-0, just about 15 months into our deal, is really incredible. And I'm very happy in Joshua's progress. And I believe that soon enough time, towards the end of this year, next year, boxing fans are going to see him in good competitive fights. The other guy that I want to talk about is Joseph Hicks, who's a U.S. Olympic team captain.
Mm-hmm.
He's also 7-0, planning for him to be on this fight card. Middleweight, won a big fight versus Antonio Todd, June 3rd, on the Claressa show, was part of the televised portion. Very good fighter. Very excited about his possibilities and about where he's going to be end of this year, next year. He had more amateur fights, so he's very experienced. So that's why he's able to progress through the pro ranks very quickly. But both Joshua, who was 6-0, fought a fight that was 9-0, knocked him out in the third round. That was pretty impressive. Someone early in his career. And Joseph Hicks fought Antonio Todd, who beat several world-rated fighters. So they're both blue chip American prospects, and I'm very excited for them to be seen here close to home, and for big time boxing and big television and media and the different promoters to come to the city of Detroit. It's great.
Dmitry, the show itself is being headlined by one of your very own, a Detroit native herself, the Bomb, Alycia Baumgardner. She takes on the only person to have put a blemish on her career, in Christina Linardato. How do you see that fight going? I mean, even with the fact that Alycia is taking this fight, knowing that she's been beat by this fighter, how big is that?
So Alycia, I'm a big fan of Alycia. She's been grinding hard for several years, maybe 7-8 years, and it's great to see her finally getting her due, being a champion, being in the main event, fighting for big money. It's quite ironic and meaningful that back-to-back, the two big events in Detroit are headlined by women. So kind of tells you about the growth of women's boxing and how long it's come. And, just for clarity, when Claressa first signed with me, it was her second professional fight, she's been the first woman to be the main event on American broadcaster, on American premium cable network television. And that was Showtime. And she was the main event at MGM Detroit, and that's 2017. So 6 years ago. And how long have we come? So it's really beautiful to see the change that was done, and the beautiful empowerment that happened as a result of it, and to see Alycia fighting on this card. So it's I've always been saying to Alycia, you're a great fighter. I feel like it's important for you to cement your legacy. You have to fight at home, and I'm very happy that I'm sure that I wasn't the only one.
How big a mental hurdle do you think it will be for her to step into the ring with a woman that's the only woman that's beat her?
I believe that Alycia is on a different level now, physically and emotionally as a fighter, and I believe that she's going to be inspired and motivated to put on a performance. And sometimes it's whatever field you're at. When you in the beginning, when you accomplish something that you weren't sure of that you could, it changes you in a positive way. Mm-hmm. The confidence that you gain from it really puts you on a different level, and gives you the opportunity to really be all you can be and live up to your potential. And Alycia, back to back, really impressive victories. First versus Terry Harper in an incredible upset win. Yep. Then against Michaela Meyer on a show headlined by Claressa. Mm-hmm. Her last fight was in Madison Square Garden, also a good fight. So she keeps getting better and she keeps growing. And I really believe this is going to be an easy fight for her. And I feel that she's very excited to perform in front of a hometown crowd. She's making good money. I feel like everything is lining up for her to be a star that she is.
We can't talk about women's boxing and not mention the GOAT, Claressa Shields. I mean, she was out in Detroit not long ago. How dominant a performance did she put on in her last fight?
Incredible. 11,000+ fans at Little Caesars Arena. Claressa, there's not a lot of fighters in the sport of boxing that are able to draw that kind of a crowd, to be able to generate that kind of fans. And we did a tremendous amount of work here. You have to really promote boxing, because when you promote boxing and fans show up, it becomes ingrained in them. It becomes an experience that they carry with them maybe for the rest of their lives. Mm-hmm. So for the sport of boxing to be able to grow, you need to have these events, you need to promote them with papers, with social media, with appearances, real grassroots integrated promotion. And I'm very happy that we did it. And we had great partners in 313 Presents, in Little Caesars, the building itself. And, and the proof of the pudding was in the pudding. It was an amazing night of boxing. We had Cash Doll walk out Claressa, which was so electric. I mean, the New York Times covered it several times, the Associated Press. It was a real big-time event. And was very grateful, you know, to that your dreams and aspirations come to fruition. As a promoter, I was very grateful and honored to participate in this historic event. And obviously for Claressa, another first on her incredible list of achievements. And like I always say, there's lots of great, well, there's not lots of, but there's several great boxing champions. Alycia is a great boxing champion. Katie Taylor's a great boxing champion. Savannah Marshall is a good fighter. Natasha Jonas. There's a lot of them, and they're all very good, and much respect to them. But then there has to be a driving force that drives the sport of boxing. It has to be the face of it, and the glow of it, and the glamour of it. And that face and that glow, and the reason why all of these great champions benefit is because of Claressa Shields, because she doesn't hold back her tongue. She talks what's on her mind. She talks about equality. She talks about fighting the best. She has fought the best. She's an example. She's showing men and women how it's supposed to be done. And she's compelled. She has made women's boxing grow through compelling matchups. And other female champions are doing the same. But Claressa's two-time Olympic gold medalist. I'm a fan of, first of all, I'm a fan of boxing. I love the sport of boxing. I've been following it closely since I'm a kid. I never remember an elite U.S. champion in the peak of their career travel to their rival's home country and fight them. Mm-hmm. No one has ever done it. And Claressa did it, and did it with flying colors. And I remember being in her locker room before the fight and coming out, and there were 20,000 booing fans. And after the fight, it was the opposite. They applauded because they appreciated the effort and the greatness that they saw in front of them. Sitting there ringside, it's like, man, this is one of the best live fights I've ever seen. So competitive. Couldn't tell if it was a man or it was a woman. It was just really intense, sharp punches, really beautiful fight. And Claressa is truly the GOAT. If she does nothing more with boxing, she is the GOAT.
Just on, no, absolutely. I mean, I personally, I agree. But just on Claressa, following obviously her fight, she was in the UK to watch her friend Franchon Cruz dazn fight someone who's now become quite the rival in Savannah Marshall. In typical GOAT fashion, she made sure she was seen and heard. Is the rematch versus Savannah Marshall next for Claressa, or could it be Natasha Jonas?
To be quite honest with you, we have not discussed it. The boxer has not reached out to us, and I mean, it may make sense. Obviously, they are true rivals, but there's other options on the table for Claressa that we're exploring. And if a rematch comes along, with the right situation, I'm sure that it will be something that Claressa would entertain. I know that Savannah has a mandatory that she has to explore. So see how that happens. I know that Shadesha Green is fighting in August, so not sure what's going on with that situation, but that's something that has to be dealt with. And at this stage of her career, after accomplishing more than any man or woman has done in the history of the sport, I believe that that it's time for her to participate in the biggest events. This Detroit event was significant. For Claressa to fight in Africa, for Claressa to fight in the Middle East, would be very powerful and very impactful because of what she represents and where she came from and where she is. And I really believe that in those particular geographical places, it could be of tremendous meaning.
Dmitry, let's go back to this Saturday's card coming. The co-main event was supposed to be Jermaine Franklin versus Junior Anthony Wright, but reports are saying Wright's pulled out and the replacement will now be 17-0 Isaac Munoz Gutierrez. Well, what kind of challenge does Gutierrez pose to Franklin then?
Isaac Gutierrez is someone that I've looked at previously for some of the previous fights. So, he's had a good amateur career. He's a tough guy. He's undefeated. He's excited about this opportunity. He's coming to win. So whenever you face guys that haven't tasted a loss, they always special effort. So he's coming to win. And for Jermaine, I really believe that it's a great opportunity to regain himself and to get the upper footing on the division once again. Had two tough fights, significant fights versus Dillian Whyte and AnthonyJoshua back-to-back. So to get this victory in front of a hometown crowd, I believe will be very meaningful for him. And will put him right back in conversation to fight all the elites in the division.
How important is it for him to bounce back to winning ways this Saturday?
It's very important for him. I mean, it's the most important thing in his career. And I know that he's very motivated to do what he has to do. And he will do what he has to do.
Dmitry, like you said, the last two fights we've seen of Jermaine have landed here in the UK against two big names in Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua. In your opinion, out of the two fights, which did Jermaine perform better in?
Well, you know, I mean, he performed great in both fights. I feel like with the fight Anthony Joshua, he just didn't have the experience to to um to understand certain situations that were happening in the fight. With a little more uh experience, he would have the opportunity to win the fight because there were times in that fight when Joshua did not want to fight, and you know, and certainly was competitive, but Joshua won the fight, and it's a great experience for him. I mean, he's a young guy. He's gonna learn. He's gonna get better. And I gotta say, you know, leading up to the fight, and leading up to the fight, I said what I said is what I meant. I really believe that at that point, Anthony Joshua wasn't sure that he wanted to fight. But just watching these interviews with him and Dillian Whyte, I just watching how he conducts himself and how he walks, I believe he's getting his groove back. His groove, he's a lot better now. He's much more confident now than he was when he fought Jermaine. I believe that he's in a better place, and it's going to be a great fight. Great to see this fight for the UK fans.
Yeah, it's funny you say that actually, because that was going to be my next question. Obviously, Joshua White 2 has been announced. It's already sold out. So the UK boxing fans seem to be really up for this fight. How is it being received in the US? Boxing fans in the US looking forward to it?
Based on their performances, it seems to be that they're both kind of on the other side of their prime. But great fighters have a chance to come back, and I believe that Anthony Joshua is a great heavyweight and have an ability to reignite the fire and be great again. And certainly would be good for the heavyweight division if they both look good and if there's a clear winner, because I do believe that the winner of Tyson Fury versus Ngannou, the winner of Usyk versus Dubois, and the winner of Joshua versus White and Deontay Wilder, who we don't know what he's doing yet, for all of them to mix it up with each other is going to be great for the sport of boxing and great for the heavyweight division. So, hopeful that as a fan, for the fans, that they can come together and work it out.
On the topic of heavyweights, it seems America has a new star in the heavyweight division, Jaredanderson. He passed his first acid test in the form of former champion Charles Martin. What did you make of his fight?
Jaredanderson is very talented, a very good fighter. The sky's the limit for him. If he can stay focused and stay in the gym and learning, I really believe that the heavyweight greatness is in his future.
Is that a possible next fight for Jermaine Franklin?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Jermaine is in a different league. With even though Jarrell has shown the talent and the skills and looks like he can really compete at the highest levels and be a champion, but he still has more to prove in terms of being an elite level. He's still kind of a prospect contender. Jermaine has fought the best with Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua, and I really believe that he has to circle amongst those names. So guys like the winner of Zhang Joyce is an interesting guy. Maybe Hrgovic, maybe Deontay Wilder. I mean, all those are interesting, and I really believe. Obviously, depends what Jermaine does on Saturday night. But with an impressive victory, I believe that he puts himself in position for all those fights.
What about your other heavyweight charge, big baby Jarell Miller? What's next for him?
I saw an article come out today in the Boxing News, which was a very interesting and fair article, and talked about how do you rehabilitate Jarell Miller. So Jarell, and I said some things about it, and I want to reinstate it. When you do the crime, you got to do the time. That's for real. You have to do the time. You did the crime, you did the time. Jarell paid his dues. He paid his time. He's been out of the ring for 4 years, maybe the most important years of his career. Lost a significant amount of money, opportunity, all the things that come with the punishment. But now he's back. So he did all the things that he had to do to get licensed in a place that suspended him. Now he's back, and maybe he's gonna win, maybe he's gonna lose. We don't know, but you have to give him the opportunity. You cannot punish him twice. Meaning, if he's allowed to fight, then he should be allowed to fight and explore all possibilities. When different promoters and different people say, "Well, he failed a drug test, I'm not gonna fight him," that's just an excuse because Dillian Whyte failed the drug test. There are other great fighters that failed the drug test in different divisions and have come back and redeemed themselves. I believe that he will redeem himself. Only the future will tell. But be that as it may, you have to give him the opportunity to fight. So That's the bottom line. And I really believe that with an opportunity, he'll be able to step in and show what he's made of.
If you could pick a heavyweight for him next, who would you pick?
Anthony Joshua.
I
Anthony
had a
Joshua.
feeling. I had a feeling you would say that.
Well, I mean, no, I don't think it's going to happen, especially if Anthony is victorious in an impressive way. Him versus Dillian Whyte would be a fun fight as well, especially if
It'd be
Dillian loses.
explosive.
Realistically speaking, the path forward seems to be that Dillian Whyte is the next fight, and then the winner of that can put himself back into position. But their personalities would be really incredible fight.
Yeah, the build up, the presses.
But if Jarell can stay victorious and can stay consistent, I believe that him versus Anthony Joshua is a big fight. It's a real rivalry. Obviously, it's up to Anthony to turn the leaf, turn the page on Eddie, and consider him. And it seems to be that in his last interview, Eddie said, well, maybe it'll happen, but just not right now. So, and Jarell obviously has to keep winning and looking impressive and doing his thing. You don't have to tell Jarell, can you turn your personality on? You don't have to say it to him, because it's like automatic, and he's a great self-promoter and I believe a great personality for the sport of boxing.
I was just last one on Jarell, actually. He was one of many a name that was being whispered as possible opponent for Tyson Fury. Was there anything concrete in that? Does anybody contact you at all?
There were some vague conversations, but I knew all along that this Ngannou fight was being worked on, and happy for both guys that it worked out. Only a little bit upset because Jarell, if Jarell was truly considered, that would have been a great opportunity for him. But all in due time, it'll happen at the right time. And the fight with Joshua and Ngannou, especially, in Saudi Arabia, makes it exciting, and will, I believe, connect MMA, UFC fans, and boxing fans together, and will just make the sport of combat sports grow. And I believe that initially, when McGregor and Mayweather fought, it changed the landscape of combat sports forever. And it opened up the door for these hybrid mega events. And there's many hybrid events that happen on a lower level that are not so interesting and that are a little bit distasteful, I would say. But when the big events happen, when the elite fighters from both sports mix it up, it makes it exciting, it makes it interesting, and I believe benefits the sports worlds and makes for an exciting event. And I believe that the promotion and everything leading up to this is going to be very special.
Dmitry, I know you're a busy man, especially with it being fight week. So I'll let you go shortly. But I have to ask probably the biggest and hardest question to answer in boxing right now. At the end of this month, July 29th, we see Errol Spence take on Terence Crawford. If you had to pick a winner, who are you picking and why?
I'm picking Terence Crawford. Not a good fight, and respect to both guys for taking it. Great for the sport of boxing again. Great to see big fights being made. Terence Crawford, to me, has shown more flexibility, has shown the ability to have several different looks in the ring. He's able to change speeds, change from boxer to puncher, come forward, move around. He's just a very flexible fighter. And Spence, I believe, is obviously an excellent fighter as well. And on that level, just a little bit makes a big difference. But Spence, since his accident, has lost a little bit, I believe, and I believe, but even without that, I really believe that Crawford is a better fighter and has more levels to his game and more looks. But with that being said, I think it's going to be a great fight, and if Errol Spence wins, I wouldn't be surprised. But Crawford is my favorite.
Well, Dmitry, we'll leave it there. I'll let you enjoy fight week and then enjoy the beautiful weather behind you as well.
Yes,
but
you'll be sitting out here for a long time. I'm getting a little hot, man. Maybe it's from the questions.
Like I said, it's been a pleasure. So thank you for your time. Thank you again for reaching out. And thank you for weighing in.